Hi there, this is John Burroughs again, and I'm going to continue with my deleted scene section of my book, my autobiography, 7 Years to Life. This is a deleted scene. It's 7 Years to Life, and it's called Don't Mess with Ethel. When we moved from New York to California in 1961, my brother and I were not very happy about having to move from New York to California. Of course, like any young guys or girls or whatever at the time, we didn't want to leave our friends. Even though I was 11 and he was 8, we did not want to leave them. But she conned us into ranches and horses that we were going to have, and that never existed, but she was a sly one, so that came out and we were looking for ranches and horses. I think I mentioned this in the previous chapter, and we ended up originally staying in a 7-story apartment building, very similar to the one we had left in New York, except it wasn't part of a really large complex. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that little preamble. One of the things my mom did to placate me and my brother, because we were still in a bad mood about moving, was she would take us to the pro wrestling matches. And typically we would go to the Cow Palace to witness these. Now let me tell you, of course, as young boys, we really enjoyed that. But there was no doubt in my mind that my mom enjoyed it more than us. And she bought into the fact, lock, stock, and barrel, that this was real. She didn't think it was orchestrated or anything like that. She just bought into the fact that it was lock, stock, and barrel, that it was real. But we'd end up going to the Cow Palace, and I don't know if she had some type of season tickets or reserved these seats in advance and looked at the dates, but we always would have the corner seats, so the wrestlers would come out of the entryway towards the back of the Cow Palace. We would be on floor level, and they would have to go by us and then in front of us on their path to the ring. Now, this was back in the days of guys like Ray Stevens, Don DiNucci, Bearcat Wright. I mean, this was 1961, 62. And so we always had those seats, and it was amazing how when we got there, my mom would get so amped up and so ready for these wrestling matches. Now understand, this woman was 4 foot 10 inches tall, and I had seen examples of her temper before, and I had seen her get animated before, but there was something about the pro wrestling that really got her into a state where at times I thought she might get herself so wound up that she would faint. Anyway, one particular time, maybe two, we were watching the matches, and then the third match was going to be a tag team match, and I can't remember who the other team was. I just remember the name of one of the teams, and it was Kenji Shibuya and Mitsu Arakawa. And they were a Japanese tag team. So they came walking out that stretch of path, and then they came right in front of us, and my mom jumped up out of her seat, and she literally started yelling in their face, and I mean, spittle was flying from her face, and all of a sudden she said, "You baka," and spit on the ground. Now, I don't know what baka means, but they stopped, and they looked at her, and it was really weird. But anyway, so anytime they wrestled, this was the match that she was into. And if they were winning, she would go crazy. If someone was rooting for them, she would turn around and tell them to shut the F up. And it was just an alarming thing to watch. Well, I didn't understand it, but I eventually figured it out. Well, I didn't figure it out. It was figured out for me, like I told you in the previous chapter of this book, that I found out I had 12-year-old brother. I think he was 12 years old, or maybe younger, right around my age, in Japan. And like you know, my dad was in the Merchant Marine, was gone 10 months of the year, roughly. And so apparently he had a little side piece in Japan and got her pregnant and had a son, and my mom found out about it. And like I said in that earlier chapter, I couldn't figure out any time someone of Asian descent, especially Japanese, would come on the TV, she would start to go nuts and start swearing at the TV. Until finally one day, she admitted to me that, that I had this brother. And she started calling my dad, that son of a bitch, went out and did this. And, I think I was 12. And it was kind of a shock to me, but to see her like that. And it wasn't that, and I believe this sincerely at the bottom of my heart, it wasn't that she was racist or anti-Asian or anything like that. She would have felt that way no matter what race or ethnicity of the people were, if that the person that was my dad cheated with was of a different race, she would have been doing the same thing. But she would get so animated, and it was one of the times that even though I saw previous examples of my mom's temper, I never saw her get so worked up about that, and then I find this out, and it all made sense. Anyway, I had meant to include that in the book. I don't think I did. I included in there finding out about my brother, my Japanese brother, or stepbrother, or whatever, half-brother, or whatever you want to call him. And that's the story of Don't Mess with Ethel, because she was a spitfire at those matches, and she would yell at them and spit at them and turn around and almost put up her dukes against anyone that was rooting for them. And believe me, she thought it was real. She thought it was real. She couldn't stand when they were winning. Anyway, that's the story of Don't Mess with Ethel in a deleted scene of 7 Years to Life. This is John Burroughs signing off, and I'll talk to you next time.